How you doing, people? Brothers and sisters, which is something I have said more times in the last 3 years than I have in my whole entire life. I start to now see everyone as brothers and sisters, which I believe is where we're all going in this spiritual war. And that's all about unity, by the way. Today, him and me, we're going to talk about a little sidetrack, but it's going to lead to some of the best advice I had in the whole time of this spiritual war. And it actually came from a guy who was a Mason and a Rosicrucian and progressing through both of them at the same time. He had a bit of corporate background, so he's into data as well. He researches, etc. He got an MBA. So let's go back to the start in 2020, because I need to be able to access my computer here so I can talk you through some pictures. When we first started 2020, one of the things a lot of people were saying was got to read and understand The Art of War by Sun Tzu. And that's fine. I got the book, PDF copy maybe, but still I went and read it and understood it. So with that in mind, today we're going to talk about knowing your enemy. So if you look at this picture here, what we have is a Masonic floor. So for all of these that are triggered into Masonics, blah, 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 and want to go into the finger pointing thing and not learn, probably the wrong place for you. So I need to say too, by the way, if any of these videos resonate with you, great, I'm really happy. If they don't, feel free to move along, because I'm not going to get in arguments with anyone. If you don't like it, go do something better with your time. So what we see here is what's called the tessellated floorboard, the black and white squares. And interestingly, you've got the two columns either side. And in the distance, you see an altar. Now what's interesting here is you need to walk between the two pillars on the side and walk the middle path to get to the altar. That's a big hint. Now, the tessellated floorboard is symbolic. And the way it was explained to me in its simplest form, I'm sure there are other explanations, but in its simplest form, it represents base consciousness, black and white thinking. And base consciousness is the very low. That's the start point of your journey. And what do you do on the floor? You walk all over the black and white floor. So in theory, people with base consciousness thinking, it's black and white, it's right and wrong, it can't be anything else, are the ones they're going to walk all over. And there's a lot of awake people that actually would fit into that category. So the black and white floorboard. Now have a look at this picture. We've now got black and white hats. That's interesting, isn't it? Again, this is the base consciousness of the war out there. I personally don't think the white team is white. I think they're grey. The question is what shade of grey. I hope they're a lighter shade of grey, because we know that the darker shade of grey is bloody dark. Trump, for example, said no one's come to save you, but everyone's waiting for him to come back. I'm sorry? Again, base consciousness thinking. But if you can't see this, the symbology that is absolutely the tessellated floorboard to the black and white hats, if you can't see that, then I'm speaking to the wrong audience. Now, if you have that black and white thinking, like this picture, you are not in the game, you are the board that the game is played on. Remember, they walk all over the black and white tessellated floorboard. And if you are into this black and white thinking and white hats, black hats, and it can only be this and it can only be that, you're the board and you're probably being played. So it might be worth your while to put away those pistol fingers, because you may not be as up to date, or all your information may not be 100%. Remember, the best lies incorporate as much truth as possible, and the greatest trap known to humankind is the human mind. Now, I'd like to play this very quick clip of the one and only, and I will point fingers and be, I will be a bit of a finger pointer here. This guy is absolute scum as far as I'm concerned, and yes, it's Mr. Obama. So I'd like you to just listen to this this short video of probably about 20 seconds, I think it is, it's not long, where he makes a speech to global leaders. The sound quality's not good, but just listen.
In creating the kind of world order that I think all of us would like to see.
We meet here at a moment of testing for Europe and the United States, and for the international order that we have worked for generations to build. Ordinary men and women are too small-minded to govern their own affairs. That order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
Okay, so what our mate Obama said was that people are too small-minded to govern their own daily affairs. Now, if you've got the pistol fingers out, creating division, you're proving him right. And if you're still locked into base consciousness thinking of this spiritual war of black and white, it can only be this, it can only be that, I think you're probably still down that path of proving them and him correct. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. So now I'd like to give you that advice that I got, that I believe was the best advice I got in the last 3 years, that I use still to this day and got me through all the complications of the whole COVID thing. Now, what you see here is the Kabbalah tree of life. So, let me just state right now, I am an omnist, but I do not have much understanding and knowledge of the Kabbalah tree of life. This was the example used to explain what I want to explain. So I'm going to do it the same way. It's not based on my Jewish knowledge or appreciation of the Jewish system. Now, if you look on the left, we have the pillar of severity, which is a dark path. And you create suffering for yourself through dark path, which I'm sure doesn't need much explanation. On the right, we have the pillar of mercy, which is the light path. And you can create suffering too from the light path. You can be too attached to things. You can love things too much. You can love your things too much. You can even love people too much, to the point that if they go, you feel like you're not whole again. And that creates suffering. So on both extremes, and again, we've got the black and white thing going on there, haven't we? So there's a theme going on here. On either extreme of it can only be this or it can only be that, there is a lot of suffering. Now, what was put to me is, can you walk the middle path? And remember, the Masons, they walk the middle path to get between two columns to get to the altar. Can you walk the middle path and accept all things as both real and unreal, true and untrue at the same time? Then allow the passage of time to present more information. Now, how the mental universe works is, if you put it out there, stuff starts to come to you. So the information will come to you. And over time, as that information is presented, something's going to go, yeah, and then you commit. But you don't push share with one just because you read something and now it's true. It's gospel. Now, believe it or not, that simple thinking was the best advice I got in the whole pandemic. So, through all this, can you respect other people's free will choices and walk the middle path? Are you going to accept full accountability and responsibility for what's best for you and your community? And what's best for the community will also involve you walking the middle path and respecting and honouring other people's free will decision as you expect yours to be respected and honoured too. Now, the last thing I'd like to put up here is this philosophical quote by Aristotle. The intelligence consists not only in the knowledge but also in the skill to apply knowledge into practice. I'm going to put it in an even simpler term. To know is to do. If you do not do, you do not know. You simply know of. So, honour your free will, but honour others and respect others. Take full accountability and responsibility of your life. And if you're not doing those, you don't know. You only know of. And my big tip is, walk the middle path. Do not get emotionally attached to either extreme. And now when we're talking about those things, we're actually talking about some of the Hermetic laws, which I mentioned with the mental universe. Because with the extremes, we're also talking about the law of rhythm and the pendulum swinging, one way or the other. If you walk the middle path, you will have more stability, less extremes in your life. And that can only be a good thing with what's coming, I believe. So, that's the best advice I got since 2020, and it was by a Mason. And I respect this guy very, very much. Got a lot of time for him, and I listen to his words. In fact, here's something with the art of war with Sun Tzu. Recently, there are ads in the local Ballarat paper to come and join the Masons. Now, being an omnist, I'm curious. But to actually know your enemy, I actually wanted to go join. And I'm still considering it. But there's so many idiots out there that think, oh, you're a Mason, pew, 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 pew. Me personally, I am curious to go join, but not to go down the dark path. I want to know their knowledge so that I understand them better. The art of war. Know your enemy. Anyway, walk the middle path, people. You're going to need in the next period of time. So with that in mind, from this fella up here, Direwong, the spirit guide, and from me, Paul, I wish you all a good day, and we shall be back with some other curiosities. Ciao for now, people. Have a good one.